So today we're going to test the color of clothing and how well or not well it absorbs heat. Okay. So have you ever wondered whether light or dark clothing would be more comfortable to wear on a hot, sunny day? Scientists conduct scientific experiments to solve problems like this. They use a process called the scientific method, which is what we've been talking about and working with. Which consists of some or all of the following procedures. So just as a quick kind of side note, the scientific method is kind of like basic steps. Depending on the type of experiment and type of problem you're trying to solve, it might change a little bit, but it has pretty much the same basic steps all the time. Okay, so the first thing you'll do is recognize the problem. So state what you're trying to find out. What did you notice and what are you trying to solve? Form a hypothesis, which is a prediction that you want to test. You'll test the hypothesis, so you'll tell me what steps you're taking to test your hypothesis, to do the experiment, design and conduct your experiment, make observations, and record your results. Then you'll analyze the data, explain any patterns you see, organize your observations and data into a usable table, which will all on here. And then, of course, draw conclusions. So was your hypothesis correct? Was it not correct? What kind of observations and data tells you that your hypothesis is either supported or not supported? So in this virtual lab, you'll use the scientific method and conduct a controlled experiment to determine how color affects heat absorption. So a controlled experiment involves setting up two experimental conditions that are exactly the same, except for a single factor that scientists manipulate, right? So in order to find the actual answer to the problem, everything else has to stay the same. If we're measuring how well color absorbs heat, everything has to be the exact same except for the color of the fabric. Sorry, I lost my place. Oh, the factor you will manipulate in this controlled experiment is color. So you will apply a heat source represented by that 60-watt light bulb to different colored jackets and compare the temperature change for each color. So as a little background information before you do the lab, white light from the sun or from a light bulb is a mixture of all colors of the spectrum. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, right? All the colors of the rainbow are in white light. When an object is struck by white light, the color you see is the color that is reflected off of there. For example, blue jeans reflect blue light, so you see them as blue, but it absorbs every other color in that spectrum. Objects that appear black absorb all colors of light and reflect little to no light back to your eye. Okay, so here's a nice little visual. This phenomenon was always super cool to me, right? You think that it absorbs that light, but no, it actually reflects that light, and that's why we see that being a specific color. So that's how that works. That should kind of help you come up with a hypothesis. I'm gonna use that. Okay, so light produces heat and is used in this virtual lab to investigate the problem, how does color affect heat absorption? So that's going to be your problem that you'll solve today. Okay, so your objectives is to design a controlled experiment. You have all the factors, just how you test that problem will be up to you. You'll apply the scientific method to solve a problem, and you'll collect and analyze data from a controlled experiment, okay? I don't know why I didn't change this. On here, you do have a space for a journal, a calculator, and a data table, okay? But I did put most of those questions into the document, so you don't have to mess with this unless you really want to. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm giving you all the information you need. Right, yeah, so when you're here, you'll go through the procedure It'll just ask you basic questions before you actually do the experiment. So what's the problem you're trying to solve? It'll walk you through making a hypothesis. What's the prediction you'd like to test? What steps will you follow in order to test your hypothesis? What sort of data will you collect? And then it gives you instructions on how to test your hypothesis. So you kind of work through that. You'll collect data. You'll put it in this table. You'll analyze it. You'll actually make it into a graph. You'll use Google Docs and Google Sheets to make a graph. Once we get to this point, if I have a lot of you asking questions, I try to put instructions here. But on the off chance that you're still a little confused, which is fair because this might be brand new to a lot of you, I'll be more than happy to kind of walk through that together so we can all do it together and kind of get it. And then you'll end with drawing your conclusion, of course, right? What did you learn from all of this? Okay?